In this video, we're going to talk about the approval addict versus God's reconciliation. So again, we're going to first talk about the lie that we tend to believe about where we should find our self-worth and significance, and then we're going to combat it with the truth from God's word. And so today, we're talking about being the approval addict. Now, I don't know about you, but certainly with the rise of social media, this has become more and more evident. Now, I think since the beginning of time, obviously, people have been seeking the approval of the people that they deem to be important. But in this day and age, with social media in our face all the time, it is a constant thing. I mean, think about Facebook. You know, we adults have overtaken Facebook. The kids no longer care about it. But when you think about it, it's like, even for me, I'll think, is this a Facebook-worthy moment? You know, would this make people think, wow, what a great vacation they took? What a beautiful family in their family photos. I mean, I'm not posting things that are the yuckier moments of life where I'm yelling at my kids for not getting their homework done or any other time that I don't feel perfectly presentable, right? Isn't that who we are on social media? We're presenting the best parts of ourselves, and we do it because we want to be approved by others. We want people to look at us and to envy us and to think, wow, what a great life they have. I wish my life looked like their life. So here's the lie that goes along with the approval addict. If I am approved by others, then I will have value. Okay, so this is where we need to do some introspection here. You need to think about it. I need to be thinking about it. How much of my life am I seeking the value and worth from what other people think of me? Now, I think if we're honest, all of us would say we're there. Now, for a lot of us, what happens is then we are the workaholic, the person that works the hardest in the office, because we want to hear people say, wow, so-and-so works harder than anybody here. We might be the person that's like, yep, I'm the PTA president, I am the team mom for this sport or whatever, and we just sign up for every last thing that we can for our kids because, again, we want people to say, wow, that woman or that man, they are really impressive people. They do it all. How do they have time to do it all? We do it all because we want to be approved by others. We want people to look at us and to say, wow, you're the most amazing person I've ever seen. I don't know how you have time to do all the things that you do, and you seem to do it so well and with a happy face, and you never seem stressed and all of those things, right? We do it all because we're believing this lie that if I can be approved by those people, whoever they are out there, then I have value. So do you see how the lie is based on how other people perceive us, how they view us? And so we will stop at nothing to prove then, to show what we're made of, to try and convince people of how worthwhile we are and how significant we are by trying to get accolades from people and to get their approval. So part of the lie is that we're just stopping at nothing, killing ourselves trying to get the approval of people, but we're also doing it because of the fear of rejection, because we don't want to be seen as the parent that doesn't play their part or do their part. We don't want to be the coworker that isn't towing the line at the same level as everyone else. And so we start pushing ourselves and doing more and more because of the fear of rejection. Because if we don't get that approval, then we're not a valuable person, then we don't have worth. So do you see how that lie just gets in the way of understanding who you really are? And again, it becomes an external focus of just striving for approval from other people. And it becomes an addiction that controls us. And again, like we talked about last week, and the whole idea of the performance trap, that we'll stop at nothing to get that approval. And it might be at the expense of other relationships in our lives. But we're so desperate for approval. We're so desperate to be accepted because that's where we find value. That's where we're trying to define our self-worth. Then we are just lost, and that lie just eats us alive. So let's talk a few minutes about that. How does believing this lie of being the approval addict, and that if I'm approved by certain people, then I have value, how does that affect us? Well, for some of us, it's going to make us controlling people. We are going to be determined to present the part of ourselves that we think people will value. So whatever that means, whether it's we're active on social media posting only the highlights of our life, whether it's signing up and killing ourselves being the best volunteer ever or the best worker ever because we're trying to get their approval, we become very controlling, and we're just trying to make sure that we control everything that people perceive about us because it's so important for us to be approved by them. For others of us, it might make us very inauthentic people. Because we are so afraid of rejection, and because we're so desperate for approval, we become very closed people. We're just not authentic. We're not real. We won't show all of us. We'll only show the parts that we think people will find important or valuable. And so now we're just closed off. Now we're not real. We're not real with people. And then in the end, we're not even real with ourselves. In either case, believing that lie that being approved by certain people is going to make us valuable leaves us feeling exhausted. Leaves us feeling like, is there ever enough I can do? Because there's always going to be somebody else you're wanting approval from. There's always another thing you could do to be better at something. Or someone might give you some approval, but then they're holding out in other areas. Whatever it is, believing this lie, it's a killer. It just wipes us out. And that fear of rejection just makes us so afraid that we're not even real people anymore. We're not even putting our real selves out there. We're not authentic. So let's talk for a few minutes then. What does God have to say about this approval addict? What does God say about this lie that you need to be approved by others to have any kind of value? Well, his answer is reconciliation. Now, reconciliation is very similar to what we talked about last week about justification. This idea that Jesus came and made us right with God through what he did for us and dying for us on the cross. And so that because of that, then we have value and significance because Jesus said so and makes us significant. And he lives in us. And so then everything about us internally has changed. Now we can see the external world in a different way. Well, reconciliation is just another step to that. Reconciliation is about making a relationship right. So now in reconciliation, when we're thinking about being the approval addict and just dying for the approval of others, we have to remember, again, in God's economy, he has accepted us because of what Jesus has done for us. You know, he sees Jesus and his righteousness, not our own sin and failures. So he has reconciled us, meaning he's made us friends again. So think about that. Think about the fact that you don't have to prove yourself or constantly be looking for the approval of God to have a relationship with him. He's already given it to you. You already start off on the right footing if you have Jesus. So instead of trying to just vie for God's attention or his approval, he's already given it to you. So now you can just have a relationship with him. You can be in connection with God in a real way. It's not about hiding parts of who you are and only presenting the best of who you are to God. He already knows all of it, and he loves you. And he's covered over all the things that are wrong and broken and hurting in you. And he says, I love you, and I'm going to turn those negative things, and I'm going to turn them into good things because me working through your life is going to make you valuable and significant. Look what it says in Colossians. This includes you who were once far away from God. You were his enemies, separated from him by your evil thoughts and actions. Yet now he has reconciled you to himself through the death of Christ in his physical body. As a result, he has brought you into his own presence, and you are holy and blameless as you stand before him without a single fault. Wow. Think about that for a few minutes. Let that set in for a minute. For all of us that are approval addicts out there that are just dying to be approved by whoever we deem to be important in our life, think about that. What God is saying is, it's not about trying to prove yourself. I've accepted you through Jesus, and I've covered over all of your faults, and I'm giving you life and love and acceptance. And he's fixed our relationship and made it that we can be in open communion with God. We don't have to hide parts of ourselves. We can be in an open relationship where we can just pursue God and not be afraid if he's going to remove his love from us. So let's look at this approval addict thing, and let's identify this lie that if we're approved by certain people, we have value. And let's remember, it's a lie. It's not true. Quit killing yourself trying to prove your value to people. Quit chasing after someone else's approval so that you can feel valuable. You already have it through Jesus. He's already given you all that you need to know that you are loved and accepted by God. And it's not based on your performance, and it's not based on what you prove to God to make you valuable. He loves you. He's for you. He is not against you. And he has made you significant, and your worth is intact because of what Jesus has done through you and for you. So use those questions below and have a conversation about this and just break free of this lie of being the approval addict.